Hello YouTube, Film Buff 06 here, coming your way with just a short, hopefully short review / rant of another adaptation of Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. This time it's the 1999 TV movie adaptation, produced by Hallmark Films, directed by David Jones, and features the likes of Sir Patrick Stewart as Ebenezer Scrooge, Richard E. Grant as Bob Cratchit, Saskia Reeves as Mrs. Cratchit, Joel Grey as the Ghost of Christmas Past, Joel Grey of course from Cabaret, Desmond Barrit as the Ghost of Christmas Present, Tim Potter as the Ghost of Christmas Future, Ian McNeice as Mr. Fezziwig. Ian McNeice you might know from Doctor Who Victory of the Daleks when he portrayed Winston Churchill, Bernard Lloyd as Jacob Marley, Dominic West from The Wire I think it was, as Fred, as well as Laura Fraser, Liz Smith, Trevor Peacock from Vicar of Dibley, Claire Slater, Elizabeth Spriggs, Celia Imrie, and some male child actor who can't really act as Tiny Tim. I'm not going to go through the story again because everybody knows this story already, so I'm going to spare you a description of the story in this video. So, what did I think of this adaptation? What a disappointment. First, just let's get the positives out of the way, shall we? I like the fact that this is one of the more faithful adaptations, you know, contextually to the original source material, stays true to the prose and the text of the original novel. The same likewise with the 1951 version with Alistair Sim. Oh, and the 1984 version. Anyway, the cinematography is nice. The score is decent. The production design looks fairly good actually. The costumes, well, except for the Ghost of Christmas Future, which I'm going to get into later in this video, anyway, look magnificent. Some of the cast perform their roles, you know, decently well, especially Richard E. Grant. While not one of the best Bob Cratchits I have ever seen, I have to admit he does do a very good job. Now for the overwhelming negatives that make this adaptation such a shocking letdown. Bernard Lloyd's performance as Jacob Marley is just laughable. Joel Grey is miscast as the Ghost of Christmas Past. Desmond Barrit as the Ghost of Christmas Present completely phones in his performance. The character of Fan, Scrooge's young sister, is renamed Fran in this film. I just couldn't help but just feel pissed off by this pointless change. The special effects are shit and look like they have been done on the cheap. The performance that I do have a big problem with in this film is of the lead, Sir Patrick Stewart. Now, I do think he is a fine actor who is pretty good in everything he's in, whether it be Shakespeare, X-Men, or Star Trek The Next Generation. But it just pains me to say that Patrick Stewart's performance here as Ebenezer Scrooge has to be one of the worst I have ever seen in any adaptation of this fantastically iconic story. I know that at the time this film was made, Stewart performed a series of successful theatrical readings of the story, both on Broadway and in the West End. So he should have some experience with how to portray Scrooge right. Unfortunately, in the finished film, he doesn't seem to actually show that experience. The problem is, not only does he go through the motions in his performance, he also forces most of his lines and doesn't seem to deliver them with any real conviction whatsoever, and also makes these uncharacteristically weird decisions in terms of attempting to get the audience emotionally invested with his character, even though for almost the entire movie he has nothing but a stoic, stone-hard and emotionless look on his face, as if he still thinks he's playing Jean-Luc Picard in what is supposed to be a Christmas Carol movie. It's up until the famous graveyard scene when he reads his own name on the tombstone, where he completely overacts in the sad hopes of probably getting an Academy Award, or even in this case an Emmy. I mean, here is only one example of this. When Scrooge is revelling in his transformation towards the end, Stewart attempts to convey a sense that the character has forgotten how to laugh for quite a long time, but the effect disturbingly comes across as if he has just suffered a heart attack. Simply, Patrick Stewart tried way too hard to be a different Scrooge, to stamp his own mark on the role, but ultimately it just didn't work and just amounted to nothing. Do you know what appalls me even further about this film? Is the fact that Patrick Stewart was one of the executive producers on this film. So for him, this was quite clearly, you know, like a vanity project. I don't fucking believe it. And another big problem that I have with this film is to do with the ghost of Christmas future. Oh my God. I don't know what drugs the costume designer was probably on, but this just has to be one of the worst costumes that could ever possibly have been chosen for this character. It is an absolute joke and looks more like an overgrown Jawa out of a Star Wars, what with the stupid LED eyes peering over the hood. Also the hand and fingers, you know, that the Ghost of Christmas Future points towards future events, if you read the novel, are so, like, obviously human. I mean, like, flesh, blood and bone human, where they're supposed to either be skeletal, you know, bony, or work, or rather work within the costume, that it just detracts from the illusion that we're supposed to have of this ghostly, you know, apparition responsible for such inscrutable future events, like for one, Tiny Tim's death. It's just a fucking disgrace. I mean, Dickens must be really spinning in his grave by this point. Just, oh my God. Just, overall, despite some good points, I won't say that this is one of the worst adaptations of this story of A Christmas Carol, but I do have to say that it's one of the most disappointing adaptations of this story that I have ever seen in my life, and I would not recommend this adaptation to anyone who are either fans of this story, fans of Patrick Stewart, or even of Dickens himself. My rating for this adaptation of A Christmas Carol, as much as I want to give it like a 1 out of 10, but I couldn't, is an incredibly generous 3 out of 10. So, A Christmas Carol, 1999, bah humbug. Now, feel free to leave a comment in the section below and let me know your thoughts on A Christmas Carol 1999 and Patrick Stewart. Plus, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And until my next video, which is going to be a review of the 1984 adaptation with George C. Scott, which I hope is going to be better than this film. Do take care, everyone, and goodbye.